Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Steve. About a week ago I did a first impressions video on the iPhone 6 Plus and I said that a full review will be coming. Well, I've had the phone about a week now and I'm ready to give my final full review. So let's get to it. So I got this device to replace my Galaxy Note 3. Actually I was kind of tired of using Android devices. I've had one probably since about 2010 and just got a little tired of it. Plus I was already I'd already switched all my computers, tablets and everything over to Apple, so I figured might as well go ahead and jump in the whole ecosystem. I guess one of the first things that really stands out about this device is the appearance, and that's a big change because using Galaxy devices, it is a plastic device, and over time I guess you do get accustomed to the fact that you're using a device, a plastic device. But when you go and handle something else like an HTC phone or an iPhone, I know for me I really begin to miss that quality because I had owned an HTC device several years earlier. Matter of fact, that was an HTC device was my first Android device, and you can just spot the obvious differences in quality in between this and like the Note 3, which is a plastic back. And I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just stating that, like I said, you get accustomed to using the device that's with the plastic back and everything, but after you handle something that has a premium feel, you kind of want to go back to that, especially if you've had it before. I wrote down, like I said, I took this whole week and just observed different things about this phone, and I came away with a couple pages of observations. So if you hear paper and stuff shuffling in the background, that's the reason why I'm going through it. So I think the first thing that I want to do is I want to knock out all of the things that I've found to be negatives with the device, and then come back and address what I felt was some positives. So the first thing that I felt was a negative was the alarms. If your phone is in silent mode, what I found is that the alarm will not play any sound or any music, regardless of if you have additional alarm apps installed or not. Last week I had downloaded one that allows you to use your own music, but I had the phone on silent, obviously, because I went to sleep. And when I woke up, I happened to wake up a little earlier, and I just left the phone there and allowed it to, go through. I went about my business, and when it came time for the alarm to go off, it never did, and it was simply because it was in silent mode. Now, the one thing the phone will do is it will vibrate, and that was one of the big differences that I noticed. Even with using this Note, the Note 3, I could have it in silent, and every single day, whether the sound was on or not, the alarm did go off. The second thing is storage. Now, we already know when it comes to storage, one of the big pluses for Android devices is the fact that they have removable storage, and you can put up to a 64 gig SD card in here to increase your storage. That's fine and good. When it comes to Apple, you get either 16, 64, or 128 gig devices. This has long been a source of ridicule for Apple from Android, people who like Android devices. But the thing that kills me about this is those of you that like Android devices, you have no issue with a Nexus device, which has the same thing. It only comes in certain size devices, and you can't buy SD cards to put in it. But back to, for this particular device, because you can only get 16, 64, and 128 gig versions of it, to me it makes no sense to get a 16 gig phone. The last phone that I had that was 16 gig was the Galaxy S3, and while I didn't have any problems, the fact that I was able to get the Note 3 right off the bat with 32 gigs and it didn't increase the price was a huge selling point. I purchased the iPad 4 in 16 gigs. Now there was a huge problem there because I used up a lot of space really quick with apps and things like that. And then when it came time for me to get iOS 8, I actually had to delete some apps in order to download, in order to have 5 gigs available to download the system update, and then I had to go back and put those apps back on there. So in that regard, to me, it makes no sense to get a 16 gig device. If you're getting this phone, you already know that the price that's involved, so I would just say go ahead, spend the extra $100 and get a 32 gig device. One of the things that I originally thought was a negative, if you look at most Apple devices or Apple product reviews, you'll notice that they have the standard grid of apps, 4x4 grid of apps here, and you can't really put any on a new page until the first page is filled up. I originally thought that was a negative until I did a little messing around and did a little research, and I found out that iOS 8 fixed this. So now this is actually a positive. For those of you that like your wallpapers and things like that, you want to have one screen dedicated just so you can show that off, you can now do that. And the way you simply do it is you take whatever apps or folders you have on one page and drag it to the edge of the screen, and the second page will open up, and there you go. One of the other things that I felt like was not a negative in a really bad way, but it is a negative nonetheless, is the fact that there is no stylus for this app. Now, I can't speak for a lot of people, but on the Note 3, I used the S Pen a lot. I used that in S Note, and I thought that they were a great combination. So I had no issues with that. Now, it would be great if Apple had something. I mean, I don't know if they make these phones any thinner. There's no way you'd be able to get a stylus up in it. But just if they had something comparable to that. Right now, I won't even use the Notes app. I think the Notes app that's on this iPhone is lousy. I will not use that. I use instead I Do Notepad. This app right up here, I Do Notepad. That is really good. Matter of fact, that's where I put some of the notes for this device. You can save notes. Well, this isn't an app review, but anyway, you can save notes and email them. Do a lot of things that I was able to do with the S Note app. So if Apple can somehow in the future include a stylus and a revamp on that Note app, I think that would be really, really good. Another thing that I felt was a negative on here was the LED notifications. Now you can set alarms and everything, but like with this device, you can have it facing up and the screen's off, and when it's time for you to get up, the screen's going to come alive. You're going to have a flashing LED. You're going to be able to see something or tell something's going on when you sleep. With this device, because you tend to lay it, because most users, well, let me speak for me, because I lay it down like this, flat, I miss the LED notification. The only way I wake up is I hear the music playing. In the music, the speaker on this phone is not much better than the Note series phone. So you got that one speaker and it's playing at whatever volume you care to have it at. I don't have it up that loud because it's in the morning, but I missed the notification because it's on the back of the phone and the phone is laying down. So it would be nice, I mean, with some of this space up here at the top or at the bottom, if they could put some type of LED sensor in there for notifications. I mean, it's cool that the screen will come alive and you'll get a notification as far as like text messages or things like that, but if there was some type of LED light that would let you know, for alarms and things like that, I think that would be good. Another thing that I felt is a negative on this device is the fact that you have to use iTunes to do any transferring of music, videos, apps, or anything like that between this device and your Apple device. To me, it can be almost as bad of a headache as using keys for Samsung. But then again, with Android devices, you did have the Android file transfer app that you could use, or you could also use AirDroid. So for me right now, I'm looking at trying to find alternatives to using iTunes to move that stuff around. Another thing that I felt was kind of a negative was the fact that there's no back button and there's no recently used app button. Now, I did, like I said, get used to that using the Android device, but I've had an iPad now for about 2 years and I make do with it on there. But I guess with actually getting an iPhone and actually using it, there are, its own sort of things that you have to get used to. While you can double tap the screen and it brings up all of the apps that you use here, there's just the fact that there's no back button really does hurt it. Next is the ability to close out all of the open apps that you have at once. Of course, with the Note series, you can just go of course, with the Note series, anytime you want to close out your apps, you just press this button here, and you've got the X here in the corner. If there's any open apps, you press it, and it closes them out. With the iPhone, you have to double tap the home button, and it brings up your list of recently opened devices, and you can swipe them out 3 at a time. That can be a little time consuming for some. It's not a big deal, but it can be time consuming for some people. Next is the speaker. Now I'm going to show you, I think I showed a little bit in the last video, in that first look video. I showed the difference between the Note 3 speaker and this speaker, and there really wasn't much difference. I'm going to go in and find something real quick. Give me just a second here. Okay. Alright, this is it. This is the speaker. It is... okay, that's it maxed out.
Oh, come on. Oh, come to the water. Oh.
Now that's not too bad. Alright, this is the max volume on the Note 3. And this is just sort of an intro to this song. Devices provide pretty clear audio. Is just the placement of the speaker and the fact that there's only one. At least this time neither phone has the speaker mounted on the back, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But eventually everybody's going to have to move to that format that HTC has of putting the speaker across the top and the bottom, because it makes sense. That's the front of the phone, that's what's facing the user, and it makes sense to have it that way. And again, to combat that, most people today end up using headphones anyway. So the last negative that I had with this device is the fact that while Apple Pay does work, it only works at certain vendors. And I think we've already known that. We knew that prior to the iPhone 6 Plus coming out, and even after it came out, they provided a list of vendors that would accept it. But one of the things that I also found is that not every bank, just because they have a Visa or a MasterCard, is working with Apple Pay. I had a couple of cards that I tried to put in that, because the bank is not currently active in Apple Pay, I'm not able to use them. But I had another card I was able to put in, no problem. So that might be a negative. That's something that you might want to talk to your bank about. And get them involved, because like I said, the Apple Pay does work. It is a sort of a 2-bit encryption type of thing, where you do have to have a passcode, and you do have to have your the fingerprint reader, and I'm going to address that shortly. Let's go now to some of the positives, and there were, trust me, far more positives with this device than there were negatives. For one, let's address the battery. This is something that, prior to getting this phone, when I watched videos, it was either one or two camps. Some people said the battery in the device was lousy and did not last long, while others, to me, provided they overemphasized, they stretched the truth a bit, you know, talking 2 or 3 days of battery life. I'm going to give you my real world results for the first 2 days. For day 1, I took this phone off the charger at 11 a.m. I used it to check email, to instant message. I watched a couple videos. I would say, if I had to describe myself as what type of user, I would say a moderate user. But by, like I said, I took it off at 7 a.m. By 11:30 p.m., when I got ready to go to bed, it was at 61%. So I'd only used 39% that day. Day 2, I was a little bit more active on it. It came off the charger at 6:30 a.m. and by 11 p.m. it had 35% left. So I will tell you, you can make it through a full day. You can make it through a full 8-hour day without having to worry about being connected to a charger. Of course, you can carry your charger with you should you desire to, but you will make it through there easily. I mean, the most you're doing on the phone, like I said, is you're making calls, you're texting, you're sending messages, you're watching videos. Now, unless you're playing games. Now, unless you're playing games and watching videos all day long, you know, obviously those are going to drain your battery and you're not going to make it through a full day. But if you're not doing that, even if you're not doing it constantly, you'll make it through the day. Trust me. There's no need to carry extra cords. I know with other phones you can, you know, carry other batteries and all that. You don't have to do all of that. And then in addition to that, you can also go into settings and check out which apps are using the most battery, and then once you do that, you can close them out. Now, the way you do that is you go into settings, you come down here to general, and then you go straight to usage, and it shows you your used storage or available storage. You can manage your storage, but if we wanted to see battery usage, which is right here, we just tap this and it shows you how long the phone has been off the charger, how long it's been on standby, and then it goes into all of your apps that are using battery space, and it shows you within the last 24 hours, and then this tab shows you what the use has been over the last 7 days. And like I said, when you see these percentages, you can easily go to that particular app and shut it down. The next positive that I like about this device is the camera. So one of the things that I really like about this device is the slow motion feature. I've used it a few times and it works wonderfully. Alright, so you can see right here the slow motion feature is active and it is rolling. It does record in slow motion at 240 frames per second. And it is a pretty cool feature to have on the phone. Also, the camera takes really bright and clear pictures. Let me pull up a picture for you real quick. So this is a picture that I took. This is a picture of the Spigen Slim Armor case still inside the case that it comes with. So it takes bright, clear pictures, and then you also have on here burst mode and time lapse, and we know what those are. You know, burst mode is where you can set it to take where you set it to where you press the button and it takes a burst series of photographs. Time lapse is, of course, where you can just set the camera down and allow it to record something with it set on time lapse, and you can come back, and that comes in handy when recording and shooting video. The next positive on here, if you notice that with devices like well, Android devices period, you'll notice, not just Android, let me get that clear, because this is not a I'm not trying to make a versus video. That's not what this is. But I will say with Android, with Windows, and with other devices, you will notice that whenever you get them, you get the carrier bloatware with them. So like with this device, this was a 32 gig device, but after all the other crap that's on here, stuff that you can't get rid of, and some of it you can't disable, out of 32 gigs you're left with about 27. On this device, there is no carrier bloatware. Out of 32 gigs, I take that back. There is no 32 gig. It's 1664. So out of 64 gigs available, I had, I think, 57, and that's still quite a bit to take up. But if you look at the other things that they included on here Pages, Keynote, Numbers, and the entire iLife suite. So those took up a lot of space, as well as the operating system. So the fact that this comes with no carrier bloatware actually leaves you with more room to store stuff on your device. The next positive on here is the keyboards. Now the keyboard, let's pull up something here where I'd have to type. So in the email app here, you'll see that the keyboard is very responsive, and if you happen to turn the phone sideways, it responds rather quickly as well. Also, you'll notice over here you've got an emoticon keyboard. You've got a dictation. You're able to highlight, cut, copy, and paste. And then you've also got a series of, you got your forward and back arrow. You got a couple symbols here. So this keyboard is very, it's good. So the keyboard, like I was saying, is very good. It's very responsive. But the fact that you can add other keyboards as well. I downloaded SwiftKey, and then there's also the swipe keyboard, and I downloaded that on my iPad. I didn't like it. It was very error prone. It was nowhere near as good as it was for Android, so I deleted it. I still use SwiftKey on my iPad. I deleted it off of here because I really like the Apple keypad here on the iPhone. And one of the other pluses on here is the fact, and this may be small to you, but for me it's not, the fact that there is a cellular toggle on here. I went over in my Note 3 the fact that there was no cellular toggle. If you look at all of the toggles in here, there is no cellular or mobile data toggle. So you have to drill down into all these menus, 2 or 3 menus, to get to it and then access it. Whereas with the iPhone, all I have to do is go into settings. It's right here, and I can toggle it on or off. The same thing with Wi-Fi. If I want to toggle Wi-Fi on and off, I can just pull up the quick menu, and there's the Wi-Fi toggle, and I can turn that on and off. Now that's huge because it saves you from having to go and download another app. And while, you know, the app that I downloaded on my Note 3 was really good, the fact of the matter is that's more space that you're taking up for something that should have already been on the phone. The next thing that I really like about this phone is the size. This is what kept me from buying an iPhone the last couple years, because of the size. When I went to get the S3, I was going to get whatever iPhone was out, but the S3 was actually a little bigger. So you think about watching videos and things like that, that was definitely a plus. Last year I went and I was going to get the iPhone, I guess it was the 5S, it may have been, and I looked at the video and stuff on the Note 3, and I mean, come on, who wouldn't like to have a larger screen device? So, I mean, based on that, I decided not to get an iPhone last year. But this year, of course, they came out with the 6 Plus, and it's a great device. I mean, the screen rotates, and that's another plus too. But this is awesome for watching videos on. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's just an IPS and you can get this, that, and the other. Look, I don't care about all of that. What I care about is when I pick this phone up and when I watch a video, does it look good? Is it bright, vibrant, clear colors? The answer to all of those is yes on the iPhone. You can say what you want about how they're stuck in the IPS era. I'll tell you one thing, they've mastered it and it looks good. If people didn't like it, iPhones, iPads, and Apple computers would not be selling the way they are. And again, this is not knocking any other phone. This is just my personal preference, and I think that screen looks awesome. I think that screen looks awesome. Another plus is that, you know, a lot of people have made a big issue about whether or not this phone can fit in your pocket. This is like the most ridiculous thing that we're wasting time talking about in videos. Either one of these phones, they fit in your pocket. You can put a case on it. You don't have to, you can use it naked. Either way, they fit in your pockets, unless you're walking around in skinny jeans. And if you are, you should be ashamed of yourself. But these phones fit in your pocket. You don't have to worry about them bending or cracking. The iPhone, I have not had any issues with feeling like it's going to break or it's going to bend in my pocket. I've put it in my pocket. I've walked around with it. I've sat down with it. There's no issues. A lot of people talk about the antenna lines here on the back and the fact that the camera protrudes from the back. And like I said in the first impressions video, these same people that talk about that stuff, they turn around and put a case on the phone. So put a case on it and shut up and leave it alone. That was just something I needed to get off. And also, one of the other features on here, that reachability. Now, I'm really glad that Apple allows you the ability to turn that off. And that's what I did, because honestly, I feel like if you're using this device, it's because you want to use, or you're comfortable using a device with a bigger screen. If you have to constantly shrink it down, then you probably should get a regular size iPhone or a smaller device altogether. I just felt like that was kind of gimmicky, and then based off of some of the things that I looked at regarding it, it's pointless to have on here. There was a feature on the Note as well that makes it easier for one-handed use. And like I said, I mean, most people aren't getting it. If you can't, you can see my finger. I don't have the largest fingers, but I can get through the majority of the screen. And if I have to use two fingers to type or whatever, it's not a big issue. I mean, it's a phone. It's not that big of an issue. Just like the Android series has this here S voice, on here you can use Siri, and you can enable Siri to respond to what's the weather forecast.
Here's the weather between today and March 3rd, 2015.
Alright, so having just used Siri, it also supports a command in here where Siri is listening for you to activate her, and you can do that by simply saying, "Hey Siri, what's the weather forecast for today?"
Okay, the temperature today will range between 30 and 52 degrees.
That's a huge range. I don't think Siri's on point today. But anyway, like I said, it will respond to you by simply saying, "Hey Siri." One of the things that I also found to be sort of a plus or minus type of thing is with the calendar. The calendar does not naturally provide a reminder if you have an event stored in here, and that's the negative. The positive is that if you're using Google Calendars and you have it synced with this, it will provide the reminder because it's drawing the information from the Google Calendar. So that was something that I thought was good, and I'm still using my Google Calendar. Like, you can go into any event here and you can set the time of your alerts and reminders and things like that. So that is a huge plus. I'm glad that they do work together like that. One of the other pluses that I like, now I mentioned earlier about having to use iTunes in order to load music and movies back and forth on a device, but I also like that because it allows you to sync your music across all your devices. So I can plug this up to my iMac and sync the music back and forth between those two, go into my iPad and the same music will be on there, turn around and go into my MacBook Pro and the same thing is there. So I do like the ability to sync the music across multiple devices, so you're not, you've got 5 different songs on one device, you got 350 on another. You don't have stuff scattered all over the place for me. And to me, that kind of is like an organization thing, and that works for me because I like organization. I like order. I talked about the fact that when using Apple Pay, you have to use Touch ID, and I was a little leery of checking out Touch ID or using it because I didn't want to risk getting locked out of my phone. But what I have found is that Touch ID works very, very well. So I've got my phone set to where it locks automatically if you shut the screen off, and this is the lock screen. Alright, so here is the here's the home button here, and all you do is put your thumb over it. I don't have to press anything. I just put my thumb over it and it opens. That works very well, and I've heard comparisons between this device and the Note 4. The Touch ID for the Note 4 did not work as well as this one. Matter of fact, the only time that this did not work, and I did it on purpose to see if it would, is if I used the wrong finger, or if I used like the sides of the thumb that's programmed in there. The wrong finger obviously did not work, and the sides of the thumb did not work. It had to be, well, it didn't have to be. It can be. I had it like this, and I've also had it like this, and both of those work. I really thought that was a real well done and well thought out feature for the iPhone. Next is the bright viewing angles. This just pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, I can turn this either way and it's not fading out. And speaking of that, I love the auto brightness feature on this phone. Now, again, coming from the Note 3, auto brightness was either, for me, it was either too dark or it was too bright. So I had to adjust it to where it was good for me. And then when you go outside, the colors will completely wash out. So I'd have to pull the drop down and adjust the brightness anyway. And that was always a minor problem. Again, I'm not making this out to be something major, but it was just a minor hassle. With the iPhone, the auto brightness feature works. We're inside now and you see this brightness level. There's clarity all throughout this picture. And I noticed within the first couple days of having this device that when I went outside, it would automatically brighten. I never had an issue where the screen completely washed out or where I couldn't read anything that was on the screen. And most of the time on most phones I end up cutting auto brightness off, but with this one, because it works so well, because it's so effective, I've decided to leave that on. And we're getting close to the end now. Some of the other features that I like about this is the fact that there is no lag. I've experienced no lag using any of the apps that are on this phone or the ones that I've downloaded from the App Store. And one of the other features, going back to the camera, is the ease of use for these different modes. Like here at the bottom, I mean, photo is simply photo. You press the button. You can set your high definition resolution up at the top. You can set a timer. You can see right here whether or not you can reverse the camera. It's really simple to use. You swipe to the right and it goes into video mode. All you'll do is press the button to start recording. You swipe to the right again, it goes into slow-mo mode. It's ready to record. And swipe again and you're in time lapse. This is simple. Now, I know that on the Note they put a lot of features and they try and sell that, as if, hey, if you're heavy into photography or this, that, and the other, you can use all these settings. Well, having all of those settings is great and all if you're a photographer, but if you're just a basic guy or girl who wants to whip the phone out and take a picture or something real quick, sometimes all that stuff can be a bit much. Sometimes less is more. Less is better. And in this case, for me, it is better. And the last thing that I like about this phone is the amount of accessories. I've seen different things where you can put camera lenses on here to make this even better than what it is. But one of the things that I'm really addressing is accessories like cases. I did a review last week on this here. This is the Incipio case for the iPhone 6 Plus. I didn't particularly care for it because the buttons, in order to press the buttons, is so stiff and rigid, and it was difficult to do that. But I've also got another one here which I've also done a review on, and this is the Spigen Slim Armor case. There's, you know, with iPhones, there's just so many different accessories that you can use, car accessories, cases, lenses, and things like that. There's just so much that you can use to outfit the phone. One of the features that I really liked about this that helps me to be able to make it my own is the fact that iOS fixed the fact that if I want this screen left just as it is to show this image, I can move all of my other images right here. So now I've got a screen full of all of my apps, and as you can see, I don't have a whole lot on here. But then I also have this one screen that's just clean. If I want to know the time, I can look up here. I can know my battery strength. I see an alarm set. I'm getting the full range of signals, and I'm on Wi-Fi, and that's really all I need to know on this screen. And then I've got my, you know, the basic apps that are down here in the bottom. That's really all I need on a to help accessorize it and make it my own. So as you can see, there's lots of ways to accessorize your phone. There's a lot of pros and cons to it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and please do keep in mind this is not, I'm not trying to start any Apple versus Android. I could care less about all of that. Truth of the matter is, it's all about user preference, and when I do this video, I've stated several times throughout the video, it is my preference. You don't have to agree with it, but you can. I am interested in hearing your thoughts and your opinions, but I'm not interested in going back and forth and arguing back and forth about it. So please do share that information down in the comment section below. Please do hit that like button and share it. Please do subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.